What's going on, everybody? I hope you all are doing amazing, as today we're going to talk some Detroit Pistons basketball. So I'm sure you guys are all aware of the whole James Wiseman and Saddiq Bey trade deal that went on between Detroit and Golden State. Ended up being about a 4-team trade, so we're going to go into that, talk about that. Was it a good thing? Was it a bad thing? Definitely let me know in the comments what you guys think. So we're going to kind of go into depth about that. We'll talk about James Wiseman. We'll also talk about just the future of this team, with the upcoming draft, who we can get. And then also just, what this team's going to look like next year, maybe some expectations, some predictions. We'll see. We'll also take a look at some guys who are already on this team, like the Jalen Durens, Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, the future of Detroit, basically. We're going to be taking a look at them, go through some highlights, talk about things that, they should work on going into next season. But yeah, we're really going to lay down a really good expectation going into next year of what I think should happen. And obviously, let me know what you guys think is going to happen next year with the Detroit Pistons. And is Troy Weaver still who we think he is? Let me know. But yeah, so let's start out this video just kind of looking at that whole James Wiseman and Saddiq Bey trade deal. So for those of you who don't know who James Wiseman is, he was the number 2 overall pick back in the 2020 NBA draft. He was selected out of Memphis University by the Golden State Warriors, and he's played around 60 games for the Warriors in his 3-year career. And in those 3 years, he put up around 10 points per game, and I think it was like 6 rebounds. His defense definitely isn't as impressive as what we've seen from guys like Jalen Duren, but his offense is definitely a lot more polished. I think that's really what I like about him. He's definitely got the potential to be a star. The only issue is I don't know how he's going to look paired up with Jalen Duren, because they're really similar, except one's better at offense than the other and one's better at defense than the other. Obviously, Duren a little bit better defensively, but Wiseman definitely can shoot the ball a little better. He's actually got a decent three-point shot as well. But I think the real question is, was it worth trading Saddiq Bey for this guy? Watching this guy's film and highlights, there's definitely still a really good chance that he ends up being who everyone thought he would be coming out of Memphis. I still think there's a really good chance he turns into that guy, especially coming to a city like Detroit where we're in a rebuild. We have a lot of young players. You're able to make mistakes. You're able to grow from them. Whereas in Golden State, they're a championship contending team. He's not going to be able to just walk into Golden State. They're not going to want to play a guy who's going to grow and make mistakes and all that. They're expecting him to come in and be an immediate impact. With that being said, the Pistons traded a guy like Saddiq Bey for a guy who's been in the G League throughout, pretty much his whole career. During his time on the Warriors' actual team, he's done okay. He's put up a 30-point game before. He hasn't been horrible, but at the same time, Saddiq Bey, I really think everyone undervalued him, even Pistons fans and just the Pistons in general. That's a guy who put up a 50-point game before. It's a guy who's been one of your better scorers and shooters. He hasn't really taken the best shots. His shot selection's not great. In being in year 3, though, he's really been impressive, and I think he's a starter on a lot of teams in the NBA. And to be honest with you, I just really like Saddiq Bey. He's been one of my favorite players the last 3 years now, and he's just, he's a big-time clutch shot guy. He's been so fun to watch and get better. However, looking at the Wiseman trade now that I've had a few days to look at it, honestly, it might not be the worst thing. We're taking a guy who's got so much potential. We needed another big, so I'm okay with it. Now we'll be taking a look at some of the guys that the Pistons can add to the draft this offseason, starting with Victor Wembanyama, who's obviously at the top of everyone's draft board. I think no matter who has the number 1 pick, this guy's going to go there. This guy is a 7'4" point guard, essentially. You look at what he's doing right here, just a little step over three-pointer. There's few guys in the NBA that can even do that. Most guards, like the Kyrie Irving, Steph Currys of the world, really are the only ones that are, good at doing the kind of things that this guy's able to do. But then again, he's 7'4". He's a shot blocker. He's really good, athleticism. He's got everything that you would want in a player. He's probably the best overall player I've ever seen, obviously, besides LeBron James.
And when I say that, I mean NBA draft prospect-wise. I don't mean NBA career-wise. Just NBA draft prospect. He would probably be one of the best I've seen since LeBron James. Obviously, in order to get this guy, the Pistons would need some kind of just insane luck because, to be able to get the number 1 overall pick 2 years out of the, last 3 drafts, that would be incredible. So, that would really be a blessing. Obviously, the chances of that are really unlikely. And if we got this guy, we're talking about a front court that would consist of Jalen Duren, Wembanyama, James Wiseman, Isaiah Stewart, and Marvin Bagley. More than likely, either Stewart or Bagley is going to end up getting traded or released. So that would probably end up happening, or even Wiseman too. But yeah, I mean, could you imagine a front court with Jalen Duren and Victor Wembanyama? That's just unstoppable, and you can't score on that either. But yeah, as you watch this guy's film, you can see him doing the little turnaround fadeaways. The three-point shot is there. Everything you would want in a player is there. The size, I mean, obviously he's on the skinny side, but the fact that this guy is 7'4" and can play like a point guard, dunk on people, and block shots from anywhere on the court, absolutely unreal. We also have to remember that this guy's only 19 years old, which means there's not only room for him to improve his game, but there's also room for him to grow and get bigger, which is really important because when you look at guys like Kevin Durant, one of the best players to ever even play the game, right? Probably going to end up being a top 15 player, top 20 player of all time easily. But when you look at, what happens with him, he gets hurt every year just because of the fact that he doesn't have that skin and that just muscle in order to sustain, playing 82 games in a year plus the playoffs. So he's going to miss, a ton of games, and I think that really is going to impact the team. When you look at the Brooklyn Nets, they haven't been able to do anything with, they had James Harden, they had Kyrie Irving, and they had Kevin Durant, and they were all just always injured and not playing. So having a guy like this on the court, you have to have your best players playing. Also, please look at a guy like Chet Holmgren, who, by the way, he reminds me a lot of Wembanyama. Number 2 pick, plays just like him. He's able to shoot the three. He can dribble up and down the court. So you look at a guy like Chet Holmgren, who, by the way, he's missed the whole season due to an injury, which has a lot to do with his size. And he hasn't even been able to play a single NBA game or a summer league game or anything due to his injury. So when you get a guy with this size, really fragile, they're going to get injured a lot. So you got to be able to put some muscle and some beef on. Otherwise, you're going to be getting injured left and right. But yeah, I mean, I think his size, thickness is really the only thing that would be a concern to me. Other than that, there's no disadvantages that you could possibly think of getting this guy. Wherever he goes, he's going to be, a couple-time NBA champion, probably a couple-time MVP. He's going to go to a few All-Star games for sure. I think no matter where this guy goes, he's going to bring immediate success to that franchise. So you got to get a guy like this. Obviously, you're going to have to get super lucky, but that would be awesome to have. Brandon Miller out of Alabama University. Let's just quickly start out with some basic stats looking at Brandon Miller. As a freshman in the SEC, he is averaging 19 points per game, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and 45% from 3. Absolutely unreal. Ever since he beat my Spartans back in, I think it was mid-November or so, I've known who this guy is, and he's by far probably a top 5, maybe even a top 3 player in the country. Personally, I think he's the most talented guy in the country. He's able to take it to the rim. He doesn't do it a lot because he's so good at 3 shooting, which is a thing that the Pistons really need. He's a decent defender as well from what I've seen. As you can see right there, he's pretty good at taking it into the rim. He can do some nice floaters. He's really athletic. One of the first clips, was him getting an offensive rebound and dunking it. So he's a really athletic guy. This got to be such an upgrade at the small forward or even the power forward spot. Obviously, he's going to play small forward in the NBA more than likely. As you look at the Detroit Pistons roster, they've got Bojan Bogdanovic, which is one of the better scorers in the league. So this guy probably wouldn't start over him right away, especially. But you get this guy, you're going to be able to rotate him in at the 2 spot, the 3 spot, maybe even the 4. Plus, you have Isaiah Livers as a backup. So you're going to be able to rotate this guy in. He's going to get really good minutes, and he would be such an upgrade. Just even coming off the bench, this guy would be amazing. Personally, I think he'll work his way to a starting role eventually. Maybe not with Bojan on the team, but I think he will for sure be a starter at some point. As you can see, back when my Spartans were ranked number 12 in the country, I think that was the highest we got ranked all year. It was definitely a big game coming in. I knew that this was going to be a game that we needed to win. It was the Phil Knight Invitational. So we win this, we'd probably end up almost maybe making it all the way. Who knows? But I kind of had a really bad feeling about this game. I kind of knew we'd probably lose. We'd fall off eventually. But I did not think that this guy would torch us. I forget how many points he had. I think he had close to 30. It was like 24 or 25 points. This dude was just drilling everything. You saw the buzzer beater there at the end of the half. And when you look at positions that the Pistons need, I mean, if you wanted to draft a Scoot Henderson just to have as a backup, you could. But I don't think Scoot Henderson's a backup in the league. I do think he's going to start wherever he goes. The Pistons don't need a guard right now. They got Cade Cunningham. You got Jaden Ivey. You're set there. Down low, I think the only way you could upgrade is getting Victor Wembanyama. So really the only position that we could really use, I think, would be the 3 spot. We got too many 4s and 5s now. We're set there. Guards, we could always use a backup, but I don't think you're going to get a backup with our, top 3 pick that we're going to end up having. So I think getting Brandon Miller would definitely be the right move. He's a really good, 6'8". He's pretty good defensively. He's good athleticism. This is a guy that the Pistons would want and need. So now we're going to look at the young core the Pistons have already established. Obviously, guys like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey. We're going to take a look at the three, just kind of run through some expectations, see what they've done already, and just kind of maybe set a boundary of, what we would expect for them. Cade going into year 3 next year. We'll start with him. Obviously, watching his highlights, this guy, he's got really everything. He's an all-around player. He really is. 6'8". They list him at 6'6", but coming out of college, he was 6'8". Let's be real. 6'8" guard. This guy has one of the best mid-range shots in the NBA. You'll see it all over these highlights. He's such a good rim finisher too. He's one of the best at that as well for a guard. He's so crafty down low. He knows how to score. The only thing with Cade Cunningham, I guess there's two things really. Starting this year and even, his rookie year as well. End of his rookie year, he started shooting the 3-ball really well. But, starting this year off, obviously playing on one leg. So you cannot blame him. You can't blame him for shooting bad because he was on one leg. But this guy, he's not shooting well from 3 yet. He's going to get there. I think he was a 43% shooter from 3 at Oklahoma State. So we know he has it in him. It's all about just executing it, and I'm not worried at all. I know he'll get there. He will eventually. There's no reason to worry about that at all. And I think the only other thing that would concern me would be his turnover. He's kind of turnover prone, but all young guards are going to go through that. Going into year 3, hopefully he can get his turnovers below 3 per game. But honestly, I'm not worried about that at all. Again, he's a young point guard. It's going to happen. Looking at expectations, I would expect around, I'd say 26, 7, and 7 as an expectation for Cade Cunningham next year. That might be a lot to ask for. It could be around 24 points per game. But on one leg this year, this guy was averaging 22, 6, and 6. So I think by the end of next year, he'll be averaging at least 26, 7, and 7. But yeah, I would expect somewhere around that for him. I would expect, 25 points per game and around 7 rebounds and then 7 assists as well. So, and his defense is also very underrated, by the way. So yeah, that was Cade Cunningham. Let's look at the rookie this year, the number 5 overall pick, Jaden Ivey. When we drafted this guy, the excitement that I felt was it was unreal. This is the guy I wanted so badly. I was like, oh, there's no way we're going to get him. Someone's going to trade up and get him at 4, or the Kings are going to take him because the Kings are stupid. But either way, the fact that we got this guy, I could not believe it. This guy's got the Ja Morant athleticism. Honestly, people say he doesn't look like Ja Morant. He reminds me exactly of Ja Morant. Everything about him, the speed, the way he plays. This guy is basically the next Ja Morant. I should say he's the next Jaden Ivey, but either way, you watch this guy play, he's super good defensively. He's really underrated defensively as a rookie. Hey, James Wiseman, he's able to dunk on anyone. He's able to, his transition game, by the way, one of the best. He's able to find the open guy in transition. He's able to just blow by people like this. He's got such amazing speed that he can just do anything he wants when he has the ball. Blow by anyone, dunk on anyone. He's got major hops. This guy's so fun to watch. I'm so excited to see what he turns into. His ability to finish at the rim is really good as well. His three-point shot started off all right. It's kind of declined. He's only shooting 30% from 3. I think he'll get there. As you can see, he's got a nice stroke. I think he'll find a rhythm eventually, kind of like Cade. Rookies usually start off shooting poorly from 3 anyway, so it's going to happen. But Jaden Ivey, man, look at this stuff, man. Oh, look at that block. Obviously, with Cade being out, he's taking a much larger role. His turnovers, by the way, have gone down so much since the start of the year, which has really impressed me. I'd say looking at next year, I would expect around 18, 5, and 5 maybe from him. With Cade being out on the floor, his stats aren't going to look super impressive. I would say 18, 5, and 5 for sophomore year would be pretty good for me. As long as he gets that three-point shooting up. Even if he doesn't, if he can shoot 33% from 3 even, I'm fine with that. Look at this right here. But yeah, the three-point shots are really it. Now we'll take a look at baby Dwight Howard. My goodness, this guy has exceeded every expectation that I had going into this season. His ability to just block shots off the backboard. Even his offensive game has taken a massive leap. He kind of just looks like what he was in college, which is all we expected. But people thought this guy would go in the G League. And for a guy that's exactly 1 year older than me, by the way, his birthday is the same day as mine, November 18th. But that's besides the point. The fact that this guy is 18, now 19 years old, and dominating the way he has. He just had a 30-point, 17-rebound game with 4 blocks, 3 assists. Look at this little turnaround fadeaway. This guy, I'm really excited to see what he can do because I did not think he would be this good this early. He's a rebound machine that can guard any spot defensively on the floor. He's, look at him just get offensive rebounds and then just jamming people's faces. A really fun guy to watch, really good lob threat. The fact that Troy Weaver was able to get this guy after trading Jeremy Grant, and then he ended up somehow just finessing GMs the way he does and getting this dude, absolute steal. He's by far the best center, like actual center in the draft. And even though he can play power forward, obviously, I would say as of right now, he's more of just a center. But the way he just hangs on the rim, I swear he's just trying to tear the backboard down every time he gets the chance. So I think looking at this guy, I think obviously offensively he needs to get polished. If he can develop a little bit of a jumper, some more post moves, I think this guy's going to be one of the most dominant guys in the NBA. Other than that, he's got everything you need defensively. I think it's really just the offensive game that he needs to work on, which he's going to get there. He's only 19. He's definitely more of a raw talent kind of a guy. So once he develops a little bit, of a mid-range game, if he can develop a three-point shot, just shoot, let's say he shoots 33% from three, my gosh, he would easily be probably a top 3 center, power forward, whatever the hell he's going to play. He would easily be top 3 in the league. Just the fact that he is so athletic, he's got such a high motor, and he's so young. This guy's got so much potential, and I cannot wait to see what he can do. I would also like to see the Pistons run the offense through him a little more. You saw what he could do when you do that, put up 30 points. I would like to see them do that a little bit more, because right now he's really just out there for defense and then rebounds. So running the offense through him will not only build his confidence, but really just build his overall game. So I think the Pistons should do that. And obviously, he only started about half the year, basically. So being in a starting role next year, the whole year, I guess my expectations would be maybe 16, I'll go 17 points per game. And rebounds, I'll go 10 to 11, probably, like 10 and a half rebounds per game. And we'll see if, he can fulfill that next year and just keep developing. But yeah, I think realistically, looking at the Pistons next year, I do think that next year will be the year that they're fighting for a play-in spot. I thought it would be this year, but, I was kind of skeptical on that anyway. But obviously losing a guy like Cade and all the injuries that we've dealt with, it's going to be hard to make the play-in with that kind of a roster. So I think next year will definitely be the year where, if we don't at least get the 10 seed in the standings, or, the 10th spot in the standings, I really do think it's a disappointment of a year. And I think that one thing the Pistons really need to focus on is a new head coach. And to be honest, I love Casey, he's a great guy. There's nothing against him. He's obviously a successful coach. He's won an NBA championship. I just don't think he fits with the young guys. I do think, kind of like the Lions have, like a Dan Campbell. I think someone just kind of like that. I don't know how to explain it, but I do think they should search for a new head coach. I think that's really step one. Obviously, adding in the draft, maybe a free agent. Re-sign, Alec Burks if you need to. I forget if he's going to be a free agent or not. But make sure you re-sign that guy. He's been great. But other than that, I think Pistons realistically, we're looking at maybe a 35 to 40 win season, I think would be my expectation. My guess would be 38 and 44, I guess. And that's really if we get lucky with the injury bug. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of you are skeptical on that. I think 30 wins would be the floor next year. We have to get at least 30 wins. We cannot do another 20-win season. I think 35 is going to be expectation, but I would say the goal would be 38 to 40. So I would say that's it for me. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a comment on what video I should do next and what team. And thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time.